Welcome back to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. It is your host, Brent Daniels. And let's be honest, there's only three ways to get a wholesale deal. Only three ways. Did you know that? I know a lot of you guys that have been listening to this podcast know this. I know my guest on the podcast knows this, but I'll break it down real quick for you. There's three ways to get a deal, a wholesale deal, okay? And wholesaling, if you take away the word wholesaling, all it means is that you source a real estate opportunity. That's all wholesaling is. You're sourcing real estate opportunities. And when you can do that, you have the power to fix and flip, to develop, to wholesale, to keep for yourself. There are so many options, but there's three ways to get them, okay? You can buy the deals, right? You can buy it through marketing and advertising. On this podcast, you hear a lot of people that are very successful with direct mail or pay-per-click or bandit signs. That's a way to buy your deals. Two, you can wait for deals by getting referrals, right? You can be the guy or gal in your area, in your market that people send deals to because they know that you get them done, right? But it takes a lot of time. And remember, when you're buying deals, number one, the first one, going back a second, remember it takes, you need to have a budget. So take that into account. Number two, you have to wait for those deals. So they're not as consistent. Or you could go with number three, which obviously I am going to just shout from the rooftops as the best way to build your business, to build your wholesaling business, to build your sourcing deals business, is to be proactive and reach out to distressed property owners every single day. Right? Every single day, have a quality conversation with a distressed property owner that you control the schedule of when you speak to them. It is absolutely beautiful. And a beautiful way to encapsulate that or give an example of that is this interview that I'm going to do on the podcast today. I'm very excited. If you want to see this interview, make sure you go to Brent Daniels Real Estate on YouTube. It's on there. But it is my pleasure to introduce from North Carolina, from Charlotte, North Carolina, TJ Cotton. TJ, say hello.
Hey, what's going on, Brent? Glad to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here as well. I mean, North Carolina is fantastic, right? It is just a fantastic market or state, but like the markets in the state are fantastic. I've got a lot of people that just give me a lot of positive experiences with wholesaling in North Carolina, but you're not originally from North Carolina, is that right?
No, I'm from Atlanta, so Charlotte's kind of like a few years behind what Atlanta is now. So it's exciting to see. I know how big Atlanta is, and I'm excited to be in Charlotte right now.
That's awesome.
Good time.
And how long have you been in the real estate business?
In the business, so I failed at buying a fix and flip a couple of years ago, and I bought a duplex, and I'm living in it and house hacking it right now about a year ago. And started wholesaling about a month ago.
1 month ago.
Month and a half.
And you've already gotten a deal. This is incredible. This is incredible for everybody out there that's considering starting this business. Now, what I will say is truly, like for me, it took me 4 months to get my first deal. It took one of the top guys in my market, one of the best phone prospectors, Luke Rotfold, 5 months to get a deal. But TJ here got on and just grabbed a deal in his first month. And we'll break that all down. But what is your background? How did you get into real estate?
So I am a car salesman, or was a car salesman, and work long hours, 60, 70 hours a week. And it's tiring. But somebody came in and they were telling me a little bit about real estate, and I looked into it, and the investing side just kind of went into a rabbit hole, and down you go. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So it's really interesting because, I just bought a new truck, and when I was there, the sales guys there, they were all about wholesaling real estate. They were like, this business is great, but it is like, it just eats your soul up. I can't do it. The hours are so long. I have to always be hustling and doing things. Like, tell me more about wholesaling. Is that how it happened? Like somebody in there was like, hey, I'm doing this now, or they like, hey, have you heard about wholesaling real estate?
Yeah, so I just kind of looked at every avenue in real estate investing, and as a salesperson, wholesaling and being proactive was just kind of, it spoke to me.
Yeah.
It was just a natural fit for me. So
I love it. So why not? This is interesting because I find this really interesting now. Is there's so many different things that people are hot on, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to do CBD oil, or oh, I'm going to do cryptocurrency, or oh, I'm going to do
yeah.
drop shipping, or I'm going to do all these things. How did you find? I mean, have you always had like the real estate passion, the bug, like, did you read a book? Did somebody turn you on? Do you have a family member that kind of brought you into this?
No, not at all. I kind of find it just through the guy. He told me he was doing some investing and looked into it. And the more and more you read, the more and more you research, the more and more it really makes sense. It's tangible. It's something that's real.
And you can start very quickly without a ton of overhead.
Yeah, like in a month.
Yeah. So you were working. So yeah, in a month. So you were working. Are you still working there?
No, I went all in.
Went all in. So tell me about that. So, did you go all in like day one, or did you go all in after you closed a deal, or what? Like after you started, you knew that you got a good pipeline of leads. Like, tell me, because this is a question, TJ, I get all the time. Like, should I quit what I'm usually doing, what I'm doing now to start this business? And my answer typically is, listen, unless you got 6 months reserves, like to cover all your costs and expenses, then stay in that job and make this your side business, right? Like build it up, get enough momentum behind you so that you know you're going to commit to it and be successful at it. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I am lucky enough to have it was a pretty decent paying job and saved up quite a bit.
awesome.
Yeah, and
How
I took
important
out
how important do you think that is?
massively. I mean, if you're out there and you're thinking about how you're going to survive as opposed to trying to figure out the best way to build your business, you're gonna really hurt yourself. So I think that absolutely you should have at least 6 months of reserves set up. So I had that, and my daughter one day. So I was working 6 days a week. My daughter one day told me that she had a dream, and I wasn't in the dream, and that kind of hurt me. So I said, "All right, it's time. Let's get off on our own."
Oh, absolutely. Well, and those hours, I mean, it's just absolutely crazy how much, and it's fluid, and you never know when you're going to be done, when you got to be there. I mean, crazy. So you saved up a ton, which I think is hugely important. But I think a really important factor to, if you're watching or listening to this, is yes, have your 6 months reserves, but act like you have no money. Like literally act like you're completely broke. Like you got to start like going out of the gates fast, because if you think 6 months doesn't go quick, it goes real quick. Okay.
Yep.
And if you're not taking action right now and getting those leads into your pipeline, getting opportunities to meet with distressed property owners, to go over there to see if there are problems that you can solve in your community, it's going to end and you're right back to that job and you're like, this didn't work, and you stay in that rut, and then you find something else, or, it's just it's a constant like back and forth of going after your passions and like, oh no, it didn't work, to back to your 9 to 5. So, it's really important that if you build up those reserves, but act like you have nothing. Start every day at zero for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then what happens? So you get into wholesaling, and then how do you start getting deals?
First, I called you. I knew that I needed somebody to kind of guide me. It's really easy to go out there and try to figure it out all on your own, but there's just a lot of like wasted energy, and time is money. If you only have 6 months to figure it out, like yourself, I don't know if that 5 months would have been 5 months if you had somebody saying, hey, X, Y, and Z is what you do every single day. So that helped a ton. And going through everything, and you really explained, these are what distressed property owners are. This is what you want to look for. So I just started to compile a list of distressed property owners, and skip tracing's pretty easy. You just put it into a system, and it spits you numbers out, and you just start calling people, and you get somebody on the phone. And I got Tina on the phone, and it worked out really well. She told me she usually hangs up on everybody, but she connected with me, so it was really big.
So we talk about lists, right? In the TTP program, we break down the top lists and we keep that updated on what are the best lists to go after. So which list did you find this deal from?
This was tax delinquent.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So this is somebody that they're behind on their property taxes, right? So this isn't like income taxes. This is every property in America is taxed. I mean, it's like we own the house, but technically the government owns the land. You know what I mean? We have the rights to do certain things, but we get taxed on land. And so if you don't pay your property taxes, it's a good indication that there's something going on there. So you said her name was Tina. Tell me about Tina. What was her motivation? What was her problem that you were going to solve besides being delinquent on taxes? Because that's just a symptom, right? What was the real?
So I reached out for Odell, her husband, and her husband had been deceased for 10 years.
Okay.
So she picks up the phone. She says, Odell's not here. Odell's been deceased for 10 years, and that's never a conversation that you want to start that way. So I talked to her and I just apologized profusely, and I'm sorry, I didn't know. And she says, that's okay. And I just talked to her. I said, hey, what's going on? How are you? Try to get to know her a little bit. And long story short, with the property, the front of it has the living room that you walk in, and then the kitchen. And then in the back, there's this back room. And the backyard, it's a really nice backyard. But she doesn't go in the back half of the house because that was her deceased husband's area. Mm-hmm. So she was only using part of it. She did have some other tax issues as well. She was behind on her mortgage as well. So we kind of helped with the entire process. But, she opened up to me because I was there for her and there trying to help her, not trying to buy her house. That's also what you're trying to do. But the biggest takeaway from it was absolutely helping her. It was awesome.
So what does that mean, helping her? Are you just talking like you're a good communicator and you're listening to her while she's talking? Is it like she's saying that, there's certain things that she needs help with, like moving or finding a new place or, boxing up or throwing out stuff? Like there's a lot of things that go into like really there to help her out. What does that mean specifically in this? Because I think it's important to understand that when you go in with that servant's heart, with that servant's mindset that you're going to go and help her, it always works out. It's like, oh my gosh, like it really, really, that's the secret sauce. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was talking this weekend about that specifically, the secret sauce. I think that is what it is. But communication was key. Listening to her and actually being an active listener. Mm-hmm. So actually taking what she's saying and being able to respond to what she's saying and not just okay or yes, that sounds good or it was trying to understand her situation because there was a lot of layers to it. It wasn't just one thing. It was multiple things for her that I could help with. She was back on her taxes. She owed in the IRS. She was back on her mortgage. She just felt like she didn't have anywhere to go. So letting her know that there is a way out, and with that, you can take a little bit of money away from this as well is obviously something that keys people in as well. So
love it.
It's all of it.
And so she lived there.
She lived there.
And so where did she just had somewhere else that she can move? Because that comes up a lot with owner-occupied properties, especially if they're older or especially if they've owned it for a long time. The issue is, I don't have anywhere I can move. Like I want to sell this property. I'm behind. I need to sell it. But I just don't know where I'm going to go. So I've got some thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
She found a place, and it was I had the same questions. I actually asked you about this. So what do I do? And you said, she will find a place. So,
That's,
um,
that's that's the answer. It's so funny that you mentioned that, but because it really does. Like if they're really were ready, if they're really want to sell at this point, they've made the decision to sell. They will find somewhere. They'll live somewhere with somebody they know for a little while. They'll go rent something. They find a place. People find places. It's crazy. It's not like they just go out on the streets. So that's hilarious that you're you did
that's
text me about
exactly
it.
what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually the day of closing. She got the place, and it worked out. It usually does work out, is what I'm finding.
Yeah, love it.
So
So, did this property need a lot of work? I mean, was it dated? Did it need a lot of really fundamental repairs, like the roof and the kitchen and bathrooms and flooring, and
yeah, oh yeah. So it was not up to date. It was a nice brick ranch home. It was a three, one and a half, 3 bed, 1.5 bath, and it was just all kind of outdated. Just an older home. The green shag carpet in the front room. The kitchen was small, so the end buyer's going to do whatever they need to open it up or update it or whatever.
yeah.
But nothing structural, nothing major. There was a leak in the roof, but the roof had been replaced 3 years ago, so it was an area of the roof. It wasn't the whole roof.
Yep.
So that was
And,
it.
and by the way, I don't think we mentioned this. This was a cold call. I mean, you
Absolutely.
just picked up the phone. You just dialed in. I assume you used a dialer.
Yep.
Yep.
Mojo dialer.
So you put in your lists, you pressed go, and it connected you with Tina. And then all of a sudden, you're having an appointment and understanding your problems and solving your problems from a phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what
It's
happens when you're out there, when you're proactive and you have that servant's heart. What happens when you go out? And this is, I mean, how many days of calling were you?
So I put some stuff up in my you say make like a little cold calling center.
Cockpit.
So
Yeah.
yeah, cockpit. So I've made my cockpit, and I put up there. I said have a contract by the 21st, and I got it signed on the 21st, which was crazy. I thought I put the 20th, but it was actually the 21st. And I think I was 21 days in before I got the contract signed. So maybe 15 days of cold calling.
I love it. And in that
Yeah.
time, were you getting other leads? Maybe not ones that were like ready to go right now, but do you have a pipeline that you're building up?
I did. So I started in a smaller area where I found out that more people were moving out than were moving in. So I just readjusted. I realized that the buyer's market wasn't going to be as large there. So
Right.
I just refocused. And I hear a lot about people saying they want to go to smaller markets instead of larger markets. For me, I don't think that that's the right move. I think
Love
it's
it.
smarter
Yeah.
to go into the larger market.
Where the cash
Because
buyers are.
Exactly. So I did, 7, 8 days of that, and then switched over to the Charlotte market, and yeah, it was just rocking and rolling, and just calling.
I love it. I love it. That's what well, and that's how simple this business is. Really, and it goes back to what I started this podcast at. You need to look at your business and you need to decide, do you want to buy these quality this whole business comes down to having quality conversations with distressed property owners. Do you want to buy it? Do you want to wait for it, or do you want to earn it? You have the self-awareness. If you know that you're never going to be able to pick up a phone and call a stranger, I totally understand. Listen, there's a lot of people like that. But if you're one of those crazy people that are proactive and you don't have a huge budget, but you want to be in this business and you don't want to eat up all your savings on marketing, then this is you got to be proactive. Just pick up the phone, talk to people, or go out and door knock, or do something that's proactive every single day so that you can have those quality conversations with a minimal budget. It is so key. I mean, really, the TTP program cost aside, to set up your dialer, The phone number, getting the phone numbers. Did you use? Who'd you use for skip tracing?
Batch skip tracing.
Batchskiptracing.com. Okay, and that's it. And you. So I mean, what was your total budget into this? Into month one.
Month one, setting everything up was I probably had 4,000 leads that I had skip traced. So
So that's
maybe $2,500 total.
yeah. Yeah, got it. Well, and with batch skip tracing, you could get it at 18 cents with the TTP code. And technically, don't tell anybody, but probably 15 cents. Go ahead, guys, use it. But so that would be if you got 4,000 skip trace, that's
A
$600
thousand.
plus the dialer
Yep.
is 150, so $750. Truly, you could get going with it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had some other things that were helping me out as well.
Yeah,
So absolutely. Yeah, you
love
can
it.
do it very, very, very inexpensive.
So let's get to the nitty gritty in this, TJ. Like, what'd you buy it for? What'd you sell it for? And what'd you earn?
Okay, so when I called her, we spoke a little bit. She had no idea what she wanted to sell it for. Actually, didn't get the appointment that day. She said she needed to talk to her daughter. Called me back. So that was Thursday. She called me back Monday morning and said my daughter said I can sell it, and we talked about it a little bit. I said we're usually buying houses in the area for around $100,000, and went out there, and there were a few things that were going on with the house that I didn't understand in the conversation. She told me about them, but I didn't know how bad they were. So cracked windows, a couple of things. So I just talked to her and said, hey, with all this, we feel comfortable at being at 95,000. And she said she agreed. So locked it up for 95, put it out at 130 and closed at 120.
Oh, so what'd you net? What was it? Did you assign it? Was it assignment? Was
I
it
did.
okay?
I assigned it. And assigning it's really easy. Even if you're making more than $5,000 or $10,000, just prep your buyers. Hey, I'm making money. I'm hearing this. You're buying it, or somebody else is, right?
Yeah,
So
I negotiated this. I followed up with that. I did whatever. I did all the legwork. Like I really negotiated this hard. I'm telling you, this is going to be a big spread. If that bothers you, then pass on this one. You can get the next one. But if this is a deal at this price, then let me know, right? Boom, no
yeah,
problem, right?
absolutely.
I mean, I've done that up to like $65,000 on an assignment. You know what I mean? Like, come
Yeah,
on, let's go. So what'd you net on it?
25 grand. That's awesome.
$25,000 from a call in your first 30 days. So start to finish, give me the breakdown. So when did you start making calls, and when did you get when did you deposit that money into your checking account?
So I started making calls September 30th, so last day of September. Put it into my account on November 6th. So
Woo!
yeah,
It's crazy,
yeah.
right? I mean,
So
it's
yeah,
absolutely crazy. And it's just here's the momentum, right? Here's the
right,
momentum that you've got. You see that once you get, I don't care if you get a deal for $50 or $50,000. Once you make money from this business, you understand that it's not belief anymore. It's not believing that you can do this. It's a fact that you can do this, right? You know that you can do this, and if you do it once, you just keep doing it over and over and over again, and you find a ton of opportunities. And then from there, you build up a big bank account, and you can build a big company, or you could take that cash and buy a bunch of assets, or you could do. I mean,
right.
it's an unbelievable business to be in. I know that you know that, but where do you go from here? What does your day look like? Are you still making calls? Are you still like? Tell me what today looks like.
I am. So today, I went out and was driving for dollars. So I use Deal Machine. It's absolutely awesome. I was one of the ones that was saying, okay, maybe you don't spend the $50 a month. I like to be cheap.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if you use the TTP code, it's only $40 a month. So make sure if you're
right.
listening or watching this, Deal Machine, use TTP when you check out. Yep.
Absolutely. So that's where I start my days. I have a caller. It's my sister who's calling for me, and then I call in the afternoon. So she calls in the morning, I call in the afternoon, and
Awesome.
when we have appointments, I go out to them. But I will say that nobody calls like you do. So it's
Yeah. It's true. What he
there's
means is nobody's as good as if you were making the calls yourself. So do you pay your sister hourly?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Awesome. What do you pay her hourly?
Yeah. I pay her $15 an hour.
Got it. That's kind of a standard, $15. I pay my guys with callmotivatedsellers.com $20 an hour. But they're like pros. I mean, they're unbelievable. They're just assassins. So that you get for what you pay for what you get type of thing, right? You know, a lot of people want to use some cheaper callers in different countries, and it just doesn't work out as well as using Americans. So just some advice for anybody out there listening, if this is your first time listening. But TJ, phenomenal. How do people? So you've got your machine. You're still building. You're still calling. You're still getting these leads, and then it's just getting that consistency to where you're going.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I want to do this every month.
Oh yeah, no, multiple times a month, man. Come on,
Yeah,
let's build this
absolutely.
thing
Yeah.
up. We need to get to 6-figure months. You know what I mean? Like that's real
Yeah.
life. So, how do people get a hold of you? How do people reach out to you? They're inspired by you, or maybe they want to network with you in Charlotte. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Probably best is Instagram is at the TJ Cotton, COTTON is Cotton. I'm always available there. So that's probably the best.
Awesome, man. And then, is there any meetup groups or anything that you go to that people can see you at, or are you under the radar right now?
So there aren't any like wholesaler meetups. So I'm actually looking to start one. That's something that I'm looking to do. And then you've mentioned the Super Saturdays a few times. So
Yes.
I'm going to pick your brain and try to set those up as well and figure out how I can build this thing.
Yeah, so let me lay the groundwork for you guys because I love this. This is what I did early on when I was making calls is I would set up 2 computers. They both had the Mojo dialer up. I had the data in there, and then I would be making calls on speakerphone, and then I would have everybody come in, and they'd spend 15 minutes at a time making calls. Everybody's having fun. Everybody's, enjoying themselves, and any of the leads go to me or you if you set up a Super Saturday. But people get to learn how to have conversations with distressed property owners. I'm telling you, it is beautiful. It is fun. It's so exciting. I highly encourage anybody that's thinking about that. Get your friends together. It doesn't matter if they're in the industry or whatever. I don't care if they're teachers or are in the military or whatever. Just get them together and be proactive together. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah, anything you need, TJ, I got you. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Give some advice to people just starting out.
Don't give up. It's hard. It's tough. There's going to be days where people say something that you don't want to hear, but it just that next no could be, or the next call could be a yes. So just get through all the no's and try to get to a yes or a maybe, and then follow up. Make sure you're following up. So that's the best advice that I could give in the beginning. And follow somebody. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Follow somebody that's laid out the groundwork from A to Z. I think Brent does a pretty good job. So
thanks.
Yeah, I would say Brent's a great guy to get involved with.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, TJ. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, really, truly, to get a deal in your first 30 days is extremely difficult. You went out there. You were proactive. You had the instincts to know how to help and serve this person in your community, which I think is just phenomenal. So thanks for being on the podcast. Everybody out there, if you are interested in joining the most proactive group in real estate, investing the most proactive program, it is the TTP program, and that stands for Talk to People. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Join the likes of some superstars here that are just doing amazing things in their community. Love to work with you personally. Each and every one of the people that join the TTP program get access to me so that they can text me and ask me a question about certain deals. It's phenomenal. I love it. I love you. Until next time, guys, I encourage you to talk to people. See ya.